Women are attracted to the men who give them the attention they want and who consistently try to spark their interest. At least that's what many men believe. But paradoxically, the opposite happens time and time again. When you stop putting in the effort, you suddenly become much more interesting to her. But why is that? It's quite simple. It has to do with the deeply rooted psychological mechanisms that guide our behavior, and with the fundamental differences between men and women when it comes to attraction. In this video, I'm going to show you why this happens and why women often want you more when you stop showing interest. I'll give you 7 key factors. But don't worry, this isn't about pretending not to care or playing games. It's about understanding how to manage the dynamics of attraction the right way, and naturally maintain a woman's interest without losing yourself in the process. Especially the 7th point would surprise you and might give you a whole new perspective on this dynamic. So let's get started. Point 1. The appeal of the unattainable. Women have a deeply rooted desire to get something that isn't immediately available or easy to attain. This psychological mechanism has its roots in evolutionary processes, where striving for something that isn't readily available was often associated with greater value or a higher reward. If you're always available and constantly chasing her attention, you quickly lose the appeal of the unattainable, which for many women is a major source of attraction. A certain degree of distance and unavailability can create immense tension that significantly increases the desire to win you over. Here's an example. Imagine you reply very quickly to her messages and are always the one initiating contact. At first, she appreciates the attention. But after a while, the excitement fades. She feels like you're always accessible and that it's no challenge to get you. The initial tension is gone and she starts to lose interest. The psychological background. This mechanism has its origins in human evolution. In the past, it was advantageous to seek a partner who had self-worth and didn't react immediately to every female approach. Women who were drawn to men who weren't instantly available had the chance to bond with a partner who could provide resources and protection. Today, this mechanism is still active, albeit on a more subtle level. By not instantly replying to her messages or constantly chasing her attention, you create that tension. She starts to wonder why you don't respond right away, and what else you might offer that she hasn't yet discovered. You become more present in her mind, and that sparks her interest. Let's move on to point 2. Too much interest can come across as neediness. Neediness is one of the biggest attraction killers. If you're constantly begging for her attention and showing her how much you need her, it can easily be perceived as weakness. For women looking for a confident partner, the constant need for reassurance becomes unattractive very quickly. Here's an example. Let's say you're always trying to impress her, constantly texting, always suggesting to meet. Even though she may have other priorities or might not be that interested, she could soon feel smothered by your constant availability. This leads her to see you as someone who has no life of his own and focuses entirely on her validation. Psychological background? Neediness is often linked to a lack of self-confidence and independence. Psychologically, women instinctively seek a partner who can take care of himself and doesn't constantly rely on her approval. Neediness signals low self-esteem. A man who's too dependent on a woman's validation seems desperate, and that undermines attraction. In practice, this means you shouldn't give the impression that you can't function without her approval. Women value men who follow their own path, have a clear vision for their lives, and know how to structure their daily routine without relying on external validation. But now let's get into point 3. Confidence is one of the most attractive qualities you can project. But what truly makes someone confident? It's not just what you say or do. It's how you see yourself and how you position yourself in relation to others. A confident man doesn't let his worth depend on the attention or validation of others. Here's an example. Imagine you have your own life and spend your time doing things you genuinely enjoy. Whether that's sports, hobbies, or your career. You're not constantly searching for the next compliment and don't give the impression that she's your only source of happiness. That makes her feel drawn to you because she senses you respect yourself and have your life under control. When you're independent and confident, you radiate an inner stability that women find incredibly attractive. They're looking for a partner who can lead himself, take charge, and design a life that matches his self-worth. A man who's at peace with himself is seen as stable and reliable, and that creates a powerful attraction. Confidence doesn't mean being arrogant or appearing untouchable. It simply means you respect yourself, recognize your own needs, and aren't dependent on constant validation from a woman. Your life should first and foremost be your own. Let's move on to point 4. The fear of missing out. Another key psychological mechanism that influences attraction is the fear of missing out. If you withdraw and create the impression that you might lose interest, or that she could miss out if she doesn't take you seriously, you subconsciously increase her interest in you. Humans react strongly to the feeling of missing out, and that has deep roots in evolutionary psychology. In the past, it was beneficial to seek a partner who wasn't always available because they could offer protection and resources. This mechanism is deeply embedded in our subconscious and causes us to become more engaged with things we might lose. The same goes for women. They respond more strongly to men who aren't always available, and that uncertainty amplifies attraction. Which brings us to point 5, the attention game and who controls the communication. In every relationship, there's an unspoken game over who controls the communication. And one reason women often become more interested when a man is less available is because he maintains control over how the communication unfolds. If you're always chasing her attention and trying to keep the conversation going, you lose control of the dynamic. Women enjoy having to work for your attention too. It's a psychological game that stirs their curiosity and motivates them to invest more. If you don't always reach out, she'll start wondering what you're doing, how your life is going, and why you're not replying right away. Here's another example. Imagine you feel like you're always the one initiating communication. You send her messages that maybe don't get a reply right away. If you now give her a bit more space, it's likely she'll reach out on her own because she realizes she's not fully in control of how much you're investing. She sees you have your own life, and that she has to make an effort to stay a part of it. This dynamic is driven by the desire for exclusivity and rarity. The human mind values things more when they're less accessible. If you regularly make her feel that she can't fully control your availability, you awaken a strong desire for more. By not always replying instantly or being constantly present, you give her the sense that she's not entirely in charge of the contact. This subtle distance creates a healthy tension that boosts attraction. And the best part? You don't even have to play games. You should simply have higher priorities in your life than this one woman. Focus on your career, maintain your friendships, and hit the gym regularly. That way, you won't even have the time to always be available. And that alone will make you more attractive. Which leads directly into point 6, independence. One of the biggest mistakes many men make in relationships is believing that they always have to be around their partner to maintain her interest. But it's actually personal space and independence that help men and women to truly appreciate and respect each other. Women are drawn to men who have their own activities and social circles, because that respects their own desire for freedom and individuality. Here's an example. Let's say you're always available and never give her the space to pursue her own activities or interests. That can lead to a feeling of suffocation. She might feel like she has no time for herself, or that you don't consider her interests as important. But if you give her space to do her own thing, and live your own life at the same time, you become more valuable and attractive in her eyes because you're seen as independent and confident. Psychologically speaking, the desire for independence is a fundamental need in every relationship. Humans have a deeply rooted tendency to pull away from those who restrict their freedom. By giving her space, you not only respect her needs, but also show that you have enough self-worth not to depend on her. This kind of behavior strengthens the emotional connection, and at the same time, makes you more desirable. And now we get to the 7th and final point of this video, which might surprise you: the power of challenge, and why women aren't necessarily turned off by games. It might sound illogical to some men, but women are often more attracted to you when you present a challenge. This isn't about playing emotional games or being distant on purpose. It's about creating challenges that motivate her to invest more of herself to win you over. If you give her the feeling that she has to earn you, without showering her with attention, her interest often increases significantly. An example: you don't constantly try to get her attention, but give her subtle signals that you have other options and interests too. You don't make it easy for her to find a place in your life. Maybe you have plans with friends and don't immediately give her the impression that she's your number one. This subtle challenge can lead her to invest more energy in the relationship because she feels like she has to work for your respect and attention. In psychology, the principle of challenge is a powerful factor in interpersonal attraction. A bit of competition or the feeling of having to try harder strengthens the sense of self-affirmation and boosts the desire to reach the goal. This type of challenge activates the brain's reward system, meaning she'll feel proud if she wins you over, and the relationship will feel more valuable to her. Let's wrap this up with a conclusion. To sum up, attraction tends to be strongest when you're not constantly seeking a woman's attention. By creating distance, offering a challenge, and radiating independence, you increase her curiosity and interest in you. These principles are based on deeply rooted psychological mechanisms that align with human instincts and desires. It's not about seeming disinterested or cold. It's about finding a healthy balance between closeness and distance. If you understand that the need for validation and the allure of the unattainable have a major impact on attraction, you can shape your relationships on a deeper, more meaningful level. When you use these dynamics to your advantage and remain a confident, independent man, you won't just spark women's interest. You'll also build stable and fulfilling relationships. It's about becoming the man women desire, but also the man who knows his own worth and values his life. If you liked this video, I'd appreciate a like. Subscribe to the channel and hit the bell so you don't miss any more key content for your dating life. Thanks for watching and see you next time.